My name is Jackie Walker. I'm the chair of Labour Against the Witch Hunt. I'm also somebody who is not just suspended, but I've been processed by the NEC, the National Executive Committee, and I'm being sent up, but although I'm waiting yet to hear when my date for hearing for the NCC is, which is the highest court in Labour. I'm saying that because, unfortunately, we really need to get our heads around the structures of how the Labour Party work, because this has got a lot to do with why we're here tonight. Because what we want to see is not just individuals being let off, as we'd say, in South London. And we saw that happen with Moshe Machover, which was fantastic. We don't just want to see that. We want to see the revision of the disciplinary process which the Labour Party actually have at the moment. So I'm just going to have a few opening comments. And I'm going to take us back to 2-3 years ago, before Jeremy Corbyn was elected leader of the Labour Party. And if you remember then, there was no link between the left and anti-Semitism. There was no link between the left and abuse. In fact, if you had actually said that at the time, people's mouths would have fallen open. But then something happened, didn't it? And that was Jeremy Corbyn became a candidate. Let's go back there, because we need to remember that that's when it started. It actually started not when he became leader, but when he became a candidate. And suddenly, things started to appear in the press and the media. Things started to appear in the press and the media about abuse, about misogyny, and of course about anti-Semitism. So, it's a very strange thing that has happened. In fact, if you look at it, it's been the most extraordinary, for me, learning curve as well about how the media in this country works. Before I go on to say, some other remarks about this, LAW, we don't want to see the end of all disciplinary processes. I mean, every organisation needs to have disciplinary processes. You need those. What we want to see are disciplinary processes that are appropriate for a party that has a proud record in terms of defending the oppressed, in terms of being the party that wants to see justice and transparency. And I know there are many people here, for example, who are trades unionists, and what I know is that as trades unionists, we would be horrified if we had to go and act in tribunals for people facing the kind of rules that we see within the Labour Party and their disciplinary process, which include, for example, that you may not know all the charges against you until you actually arrive on the day. That you actually may not actually have the ability to pay for representation, because the Labour Party insists that you have to have an acting solicitor who can speak for you. You cannot just take a friend who will go and represent you. You cannot know who your accusers are. In fact, I would suggest that your accusers are protected more than you are. And I say that as somebody who has had my personal data not just sent to the newspapers, but to all the media, and I have had it tweeted out from what must have been a closed session of the NEC. Now that is despicable. So what we want to see are the kind of disciplinary processes that are right and apt for the kind of organisation we have. Now, the other thing I want to absolutely put a stop on is any idea that we're rejecting the fact that racism exists in the Labour Party. The Labour Party is a reflection of society as a whole, except usually it's better than society as a whole. So yes, racism exists, anti-Semitism exists, but I would suggest that it exists at a level certainly a lot lower than we'd see in the Tory party. How dare the Tory party with Boris Johnson point a finger at us as racist with his attitudes towards people of colour and others. I say that proudly as a pickaninny with, I hope, even more than a watermelon smile. Now, if you remember, very soon after this was happening with Jeremy Corbyn, he was being called a terrorist. I mean, they got that footage and they did what they do to all of us. You know, they take it out of context and they cut it where they want to. I'm sure Ken could make any of us look saints and sinners by using the kind of skills that he's got. And they made him out to be a terrorist sympathiser. You know, this is, let's just think about it. This is the MP that probably has had the reputation in the last 20, 30 years as being the person who stands out for civil rights and anti-racism. And not only that, let's just think about it. The campaign against anti-Semitism has actually had something over 100 articles suggesting that Jeremy Corbyn is an anti-Semite. Now, you can say, well, they're just another one of those sets of trolls. That would be great, wouldn't it? Except that the disciplinary unit of the Labour Party are using material from the campaign against anti-Semitism as part of the allegations against people like me and Mark and Tony. So what is happening in an organisation that is using an organisation that is trying, in fact, falling over itself to discredit its own leader? Now, since LAW has been established, I would say, and very recently established, I think it's been hugely successful. And one of the reasons it's been successful is that we're not only interested in people who have been put in front of the Labour Party for false allegations of anti-Semitism. This is important. It's an important issue. We need to actually say it's not just about anti-Semitism. It's about, because let us remember that in the last leadership election, we had somebody who was suspended for saying she liked the Foo Fighters. She liked the Foo Fighters. The Foo Fighters are a pop group, and I think somebody in the NEC committee didn't realise who the Foo Fighters were, didn't read it properly, whatever. Anyway, as you know, they suspended thousands of Corbyn supporters at that time. And I'd like you to know that one of the accusations certainly made against me, and I think some others here, is that we have actually suggested that there is a witch hunt against the left. The irony is, if you suggest there's a witch hunt against the left, then you're guilty, apparently, of being anti-Semitic or abusive or something. Yes, it's quite a laugh. But since LAW has been established, we've already held very successful public meetings. We've had a really good lobby of the NEC, and I'm hoping people will continue to come and support us and continue to help us lobby. That lobby was followed by the media, and we had, you know, even excerpts on TV on this, which is extraordinary. It's extraordinary, and I say that because many of us who have been suspended have found it impossible to get our voices out into the media. So what's the way forward? I mean, for me, I would suggest one of the way forward is to insist that the Labour Party implements the findings of the Chakrabarti Commission. I mean, I would have liked Chakrabarti to go further, but one thing that is strange is that here you have a party which commissions a report, and then that report disappears from its website After inquiries, it then reappears on its website, but it still waits to be implemented. And I would say that those of us who are in front of the NEC and the NCC should not be processed until the Chakrabarti recommendations have actually been put through. Labour stands for justice. It stands for justice for the small people against those with power. And this is what Labour Against the Witch Hunt is about. And I hope you all have joined, will encourage people to join, and will actually come and support our events. And thank you very much.